Me and Big O got back together to talk the draft and obviously something else. What is up, Finn fans? Yes, it's been a hot minute since me and Big O got back together and had a discussion. And like I said, when the season starts, it's going to be a weekly show again. Me and Big O kind of talking about the game that just happened and the game that's coming up. But during the off season, not going to do a weekly show. It's kind of like when big events happen. So the draft happened, we'll probably do a pre-training camp type thing. Maybe do a schedule some video or something. But finally got back together post-draft. We talked about the draft picks. We talked about the center position. We talked about the undrafted free agents a little bit. And we talked about Tua and his workout ethics and his work ethics and the whole golf situation. And this will probably be the last time I talk about it because now it's just getting borderline ridiculous. We didn't really talk about it much in the interview. I asked him about it and he told me his thing. But when it comes to Tua playing golf before the game, right? And I'm just going to address this now. And then, like I said, this is it. When it comes to playing golf before the game, one, if it was because he was proving a point and all that stuff, then it is what it is. But this is what I've heard, right? I'm hearing it's the Ravens game. And that's the only game that it makes sense to play golf beforehand. There is absolutely no way you could play golf before a 1 p.m. game and it not be out in the media and him not get in trouble for it. Do you know how early these players have to be at the stadium for pre-workouts, for pre-meetings and all that stuff before the 1 o'clock game? There is no way that he went and played golf and then came to the meetings. I think it's like 8 o'clock in the morning they have to be there and not be late because he wasn't late because he wasn't disciplined for it and it not be out in the national media. Because when people are late to meetings, when people are late in general, they are disciplined because we all know Brian Flores, if you're on time, you're late. And if you're early, you're on time, I think he said. So there's no way it was a 1 o'clock game. It has to be the Ravens game, right? Because he already knew for a couple of weeks he's not starting, even though he's perfectly healthy. That is another situation, a debacle in itself, that he was the backup but could start. And supposedly that's the rumors why he went and golfed before the game and after the game the next day to show that my finger is perfectly fine. I can play golf. I should have started the game. But that's the only way it makes sense, is it for it to be before the Ravens game. Now, on Twitter, I said it's a little petty if he did do it before the game, blah, blah, blah. That being said, though, depends. It depends. 8 o'clock game, 8:20 start for the Thursday night games. I think they have to be at the stadium for pregame and all that stuff. Probably around 5 o'clock if I'm being generous. Give you about 3.5 hours to get ready. Even if it is 4 o'clock. To say he woke up at 10, got a few holes in. He didn't play 18 holes. With Cameron Wolfe, who, again, Cameron Wolfe, this is another reason why a 1 o'clock game does not make sense. Cameron Wolfe is a national media reporter, a national NFL reporter. He also has to be at the stadium at a certain time. So 1 o'clock doesn't make sense. For him to wake up, hit a few golf balls, then do his thing, and then go be at the stadium for the night game. Now that I think about it, what is so wrong about that? Like, if that's what happened, if he woke up, did his thing, go hit a few golf balls, then went to the stadium, because again, he wasn't late, he wasn't disciplined for it, it didn't come out in the media he was late, all that stuff. Now that I think about it, so what? It's a night game. So many players do certain things before they get to the stadium, ritualistic and all that stuff. Hang out with their family, maybe play a few hours of video games, or go out to a barbecue or something, and then go. There's so many different things that players do to prepare for games, and Tua went out and hit a few golf balls. again, this is the last time I'm talking about this. It's absolutely ridiculous. Just win. And if Tua doesn't win, and if Tua slumps, and Tua doesn't do as well as he should with the amount of weapons around him, he won't be on the Dolphins next year. So he either comes out, balls out, and shuts everyone up about him playing golf, or he comes out, he falls flat on his face, and the people who bitch and complain about him playing golf are right, and either way, he's gone. So this is it. This is the last time I'm talking about the stupid golf stuff because it's redundant. That's what I got to say. Let's jump into what me and Big O had to talk about because he got very passionate about this subject. So without further ado, here you go. Big O, Big O. It's been a while. I missed you, bud.
Missed you, man. We're still in Vegas, by the way. We're getting ready to go home now, so we can go back to the family and stuff. So good stuff here. We had a good run in Vegas. Obviously, we broke the story on the third round pick before anybody else on our draft show. So if the Dolphin Nation was listening on draft day, they got it first on our show than anyone else that they were getting Tyndall, even though I called them Tyndale. But anyway, so yeah, man, overall, a good week out here. And I think the Dolphins did a pretty good job overall in the draft considering what they had. I do love the linebacker. That was a hell of a pick. And let me tell you, I didn't know too much about Easy E, but the more I see it, the more I understand what they're doing. And remember, it's what I told you guys a while back. For all you Deebo Samuel, oh my God, we gotta trade for him. We gotta do whatever we can. They already have Deebo Samuel. And it's Chase, and it's Mostert, and it's Ingold, and it's Waddle, and it's Tyreek, and it's Cedric, and now it's Eric. And all of these guys are going to play the role, but they're going to play it in piecemeal. All of them can't do what Deebo does, but Eric can do some of the things Deebo does. Ingold can do some of the things Deebo does. Mostert and Chase will do it all between the tackles. All the other stuff will be Waddle and Tyreek and even Cedric may do a little bit of both actually. So it's one of those things that I think they added another piece to create the Deebo monster in a better way because you can key on Deebo if you're the defense, but if you're the defense, you don't know where Deebo's coming from now. So it's actually better for the Miami Dolphins. So the more I saw about Eric, who I didn't really know much about, who's a Kanma, I think is how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
The more I like that pick, I gotta say.
Yeah, it surprised me. I know there's a lot of offensive linemen, centers on the board, and all of a sudden they went wide receiver. Surprised a lot of people, but like you said, once they sat back and I kind of watched him and that 100% was a Wes Welker pick. For a fact
for sure.
he was banging the table for him, but he's going to fit perfectly in this system. Same with Channing Tindall, like we were talking about on your show on Saturday, the speed that this guy has sideline to sideline, it's just going to be ridiculous. What's your thoughts now?
We haven't had a linebacker in the middle with the speed to go to sideline to sideline since Zach. That's how crazy.
And the late round picks too, both of those guys.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it's not that big of a deal, but what's your thoughts on taking Skylar Thompson quarterback with that last pick?
I at first I was puzzled, but then I realized Teddy Bridgewater's on a 1-year deal. And Teddy Bridgewater's not going to be here long term. He's still going to want to go search for a place where he can try to compete or whatever. So this is a stopgap place for him. So next year you'll need a backup quarterback. So if Skylar can show you enough, then you'll elevate him as a backup next year. And I think that's what they're going to do. And plus, because of the athleticism, maybe they use him as a wildcat guy, a gimmick guy, that kind of stuff. So you don't put two at risk for certain kind of gimmick plays. But I don't expect him to be any kind of a threat as a quarterback right now or anything like that. But that's not why. But at first I was wondering, and then I figured they obviously did not like some of the other players that were there, and they figured this was the better gamble. So I don't have a problem taking Skylar when you think about it that way.
Yeah, because there's still players on the board I know a lot of people wanted, but then all of a sudden those players went undrafted. So it's like you said, we have high expectations as fans, but obviously they know a lot more than we do because a lot of
Yeah.
people that I like West, the center from Arizona. I wanted him to be drafted in the
Donovan
fourth
West.
round.
Everybody passed all of those guys up. It wasn't just Miami. Everybody kept passing those guys up, and they ended up undrafted, some of them. So what are you going to do, man?
Like Lindstrom, the center from Boston College. We
Yeah.
have his coach, so he knows him better than anyone else does. So if he doesn't come here even undrafted, that tells you something about him. So it makes.
And by the way, I thought Alan Poupar had a great line. Some of us are overreacting on Dieter because Austin Jackson was terrible. Liam Eichenberg was terrible at times. Jesse Davis was terrible. Robert Hunt and Liam Mike and Dieter, terrible. Dieter might have made some mistakes, but he wasn't terrible. So I think they don't believe the center position is as big a problem as some of us do. And so we got to give them the benefit of the doubt. They know more about offensive line than we do.
Yeah, and I'm 100% one of them, because I just, you know what it is, we all want that wall in front of Tua. We all want the run game. So it's like every little piece we can pick at. And as of right now, the only thing that worries me is the center and the right tackle position. But I brought it up on Twitter when talking about Austin Jackson. He has the intangibles and he has the raw talent.
Yeah.
He just needs to be coached up. And I think he could be a really good right tackle for the Dolphins.
He has all the talent to be a player on the line. The question is now, can you teach him? Can you get him out of he's got to be in a dark place. You know what I mean? They all have to be, because they got beat up now for 2 years and poor coaching. So those things they have to now overcome. We're going to find out how mentally tough they are. Even with Tua, he's been battered for 2 years. And so this is a kid also that's got to fight through all this crap that's gone on. And this is not an easy situation for any of these guys.
Yeah, 100%. Now, talking about the center position, right, with Dieter and everything, do you see the Dolphins bringing in the free agent? Because regardless if Dieter is the starter or not, we kind of only have one center on the team right now. Like, I know a lot of people
Clary kid played center also.
Okay.
And then they're practicing Connor at center too, which I still think he'll be left guard.
Yeah, he's
but
just an emergency.
I don't know why, but I think they're waiting for JC Tretter or lower his price, because nobody has signed him.
No.
So the fact that nobody has signed him tells me something's going on there, and maybe he's asking for too much money or something along those lines. But maybe they're waiting for Tretter's price to come down a little bit, and maybe they can acquire him. That's the only thing I can think of right now. And the other thing is, they don't believe it's that big of a concern. But the backup center position has to be a concern, because you don't really, you got the Ty Clary kid that you signed as an unrestricted free agent. You're practicing Connor. Question is, will you try Solomon Kinley or another one of these guys that may be guards? The Jones kid. Is it Jones? Robert Jones? Is it right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to try him. I don't know. Something's going on, but because they have to be 8 steps ahead of us already thinking about this. You know what I'm saying? So they must have some kind of a plan. We just don't exactly know clearly what it is right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mike McDaniel came in to the head coaching position like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. This is the blueprint for what we're going to do. So they're just slowly putting the pieces together, I think. And it's the same situation with Chris. Well, in my opinion, like what I'm feeling with Chris Greer. He came out, he said he was going to be aggressive free agency. He wasn't, drove me nuts. And then all of a sudden I'm like, holy crap, maybe you need to calm down a little bit. So maybe that's their thought process, where they're like,
he's proven to be patient.
Exactly.
He doesn't just do things to just do them right away. He's pretty thorough about it.
He's not going to overreach for things.
Nope.
And they showed it in the draft. He didn't really overreach.
And he rarely overpays. Look at the deals.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room now. We got the draft out of the way. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Tua Tagovailoa and his work ethic. How sick are you about talking about this?
He played for Saban, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Played for Saban. He started for Saban and won for Saban. You don't do that if you're a lazy ass.
and
Sorry,
you think
Saban gets rid of you. The guy busted his hip, and in 9 months he's ready to take an NFL field. And there's not a lazy bone. This is a whole bunch of crap. And even before that game, he was told he wasn't even going to start. That's why he went to go play golf. And so, but it's not a big deal. Lots of quarterbacks play golf. It's great for hand-eye coordination. There's not an ounce of him that's lazy. I'm tired of all this. Why don't we talk about the people that are lazy? Why don't we talk about the people that actually don't work hard for a living and steal money and don't earn their paychecks? There's lots of those out there. Tua's not the guy, bro. You know, it's just ridiculous for anybody to think that the guy doesn't have work ethic. Silly, man. He's proven it over and over again that he has work ethic. And he played for Saban. You just don't do that and play for Saban and you're questionable. You know, he's not going to make you the leader of your team if you're late, work hard. No. I don't understand where any of this is coming from. And there's plenty of examples out there that last night I'm watching the Heat and the Sixers. James Harden is a perfect example of a guy that, doesn't work hard on his body or anything like that. All we ever see with Tua is that he's always actually working and putting in the time. And if he's not putting in the time, he's putting in the time with his teammates and putting in time with his coaches and putting in time with his family. And that's all this guy does. He's not at a club.
No.
He's not. If he was lazy and wasn't committed, then he would be on social media and he would be going out with chicks and worried about IG models. And he would be doing all the stupid shit that other people do that are lazy. He'd be worried about his commercials and everything else. And all you ever see from the guy is business, dude. He's around his players, around his coaches. He's training with Perform. He's training with the team. He's with his family. I mean, what more do you want from this guy? You're not getting the 2 a.m. call. Hey, coach, I got arrested.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there are so many incredibly bad examples out there for you to use. Tua is not one of them. But again, this is all fueled by the people that don't believe in Tua. So they find any little crap to start talking about it. That's all it is. It's always fueled by the people that don't believe in Tua. That's it. Pretty simple. That's where that comes from.
Because it always drives me nuts that all of a sudden this stuff comes out months and months later, when if this was a problem, say Tua's late to camp, Tua's late to a meeting, Tua's late and not showing any whatever, it would have been like he would have been disciplined, especially by Brian Flores, and it would have came out by the social media, just like Johnny Manziel was late to things and that came out. And like, so like the golf thing before the game, just to clear it up, because everyone doesn't was it the Ravens game that he was golfing beforehand?
Yeah, the one that he was told he was not starting.
So people are, and some people want to say that it wasn't the Ravens game, but I would love for them to tell me.
Yeah, in the end, this is the part I don't understand. What does it matter? In the end, who cares? Why are we wasting our time talking about this and worried about something so silly? And again, it's all fueled by the people that don't like Tua. So I don't want to feed it, because all we're doing is feeding their narrative. But they're just trying to find something else to try to knock the kid so they can justify themselves. Look, in the end, I'm taking notes. I'm taking names. And at the end of the year, when this kid balls out, I'm going to go after the people that went after this kid. And then I'm going to hear them say the excuses. Oh, no, well, he wasn't that healthy, or he didn't have these coaches, this, that. Well, that's what we're trying to tell you. That's what's been going on for 2 years. He's had no coaches. He's had no line. He has no blocking. He's coming back from a hip injury. He's got broken ribs and a fractured finger and injured receivers and this and that. And don't you get it? They're not excuses. They're facts.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, when he balls out, the two disbelievers are the ones that are going to be, humming all those silly ass excuses the entire time. That's all it is, man. And this is where that comes from. And if it's not this, it'll be something else next. If it's not, the work ethic thing or whatever, it's just ridiculous, dude. This guy's not Johnny Manziel.
Nope.
And this Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield lost it after they just talked to Watson and the deal fell through.
Mm-hmm.
He lost it. Tua, for a year and a half, had to hear about Watson, the media asking about Watson, and half of you wanting Watson. And he knows it.
Yep.
And the entire time.
Just worked.
The entire time. Go about my business, be a pro. The guy's a pro.
Never demanded a trade, never nothing.
And Baker Mayfield are not pros. This guy is. Leave him the F alone, bro.
Like, it drives me, like, do they not know? Like, he's a left-handed quarterback that's not left-handed because his father made him a left-handed quarterback. Like, his father would take him to the beach every day to train. Do they think his father would sit back and let him have a horrible work ethic? Like, obviously, he's a grown-ass man. He could do his own thing. But in the Samoan culture, you listen to your parents. And I'm pretty sure if his father found out that he was doing, like, he was just lazy and didn't go to, some people were upset that he wasn't the first in, last out. Somebody said that to me. Well, he's not the first in, last out. And that's a problem.
How do you know that?
How do you know that?
I love these people that think they have insight.
Oh my God.
It's like, you have no insight. You don't know jack shit what's going on. So what the hell are you talking about? So shut the hell up about, oh, I heard. You didn't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
All idiots out there that say, oh, I heard this. You didn't hear jack anything. Okay? Because most people don't know anything that's going on in that building. Because when I'm telling everybody all year long that Brian Flores put a rush shot through the building and that he should get fired, people are saying I'm crazy. Mm-hmm. And then now everybody finds out.
Mm-hmm.
But I say for almost a year that he never wanted Tua, and people didn't believe me. And then they find out now that he didn't want Tua. And when I told them you'd freak out on who it was, because I knew it was Jordan Love, but I couldn't tell anybody. Then it comes out. Most of you don't know what the hell is going on. So shut the hell up and stop acting like you know anything. You know nothing. That's it. Root for the team, but don't act like you're an insider. You're not an insider. You don't know anything. You don't know if he's first in or last out. Yep. You don't know about his work ethic. You don't know anything that's going on. And I don't know everything that's going on. But guess what? I know a hell of a lot more than most of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I'm just saying, I've been around the team for 32 freaking years. It's funny. There's a lot of people that want to claim to be insiders, but they have no insight.
Mm-hmm.
Guessing. That's all they're doing is guessing. And this happens in the media left and right.
Yeah.
Okay. And Chris Greer and Marvin Allen and Reggie McKenzie and those guys, they don't talk to anybody. So you don't have any idea. So it's a bunch of bull crap, man. And that's all. And everything is just made up stuff. Because if the guy was lazy, then the franchise would not get behind the guy.
No.
Okay. There's a reason why they backed away eventually from Johnny Manziel, and the reason why they're going to back away now from Baker Mayfield, and the reason why they'll back away eventually from any other quarterback that they don't feel is truly committed or professional or good enough. If they're truly committed to the kid, it's because they must feel that he also has a commitment to them professionally.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just basing it on what they think of his abilities, but they also feel like professionally he's going to live up to his responsibilities. And that's what some of you need to understand. It's just, again, driven by an agenda is what it is.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, like if there's stuff go, and you brought up a great thing with Greer and McKenzie and Marvin Allen keeping it hush hush, because I have found it funny that when Flores was there, kept leaking Watson, 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 Watson. But the first thing that happened with free agency, a big trade for Tyreek Hill, nobody
Boom.
knew about it. It was going on for a week. No one knew about it until an hour before it got done. Nobody knew about it. So obviously it wasn't the front office that was leaking the Watson stuff. Find it interesting, but all of this stuff, it just makes me laugh.
There's
That
only one guy that was counter to everything, and they got rid of him. Just notice the environment. It's not uncomfortable. It's not uptight. It's not, just so straight and button up and say nothing every time you talk. And it's like an art. It's like, watching Brian Flores think about what he's about to tell you, because he has to, how do I craft this by saying nothing? And it's like, you watch Chris Greer and Brian Flores the other day, and it's free flowing, bro. Fun, and Chris Greer is able to smile and all that. And it's like, don't you want to see two human beings out there instead of one stinking robot sitting there emotionless? There's a difference, man. I was talking about that on my show. McDaniel is giving himself a chance to succeed by establishing relationships. You are going to ask men to do very difficult things that are painful, things that could be maybe over their head a little bit, and they have to sacrifice. But if you want them to sacrifice for you, well, then you've got to show them that you can connect and sacrifice for them. Well, Adam Gase failed to communicate with people.
Yeah.
So did Brian Flores. And in today's world, it's a little different. The tough love stuff doesn't fly with everybody anymore. And so whether McDaniel wins or not, this has nothing to do with it. But if you're going to try to win and you're going to ask people, then nurture relationships first, so you can actually then take the next step. And I think that's what he's doing. He's doing it in a way that he wins you over, he understands you, he reaches you, but then he gives you the opportunity. And then he says, if you fail, he says, well, we communicated, we talked, I gave you the opportunity, I told you this, that, I've got to do this now. And so even in that sense, he's actually setting himself up that if it ends up negative, the player can't look at it as a negative because you were honest with them from the get-go.
Yeah, exactly. I got one last question for you. And a lot of people ask me this question to ask you. What was the biggest factor in Brian Flores that soured you from him? Because at first we all were fans of Brian Flores.
Yeah,
at what point did you start to sour with Brian Flores?
We can't build an offensive staff.
Gotcha.
Once you can't build a staff, I have no use for you.
Gotcha.
You can't remember what we talked about. It's not staff. It's many staffs, because you will lose people. They will get elevated. They will get promotions. You will have to fire. So you're going to lose people. So you just can't find one offensive coordinator. You got to find the next one and the next one after that. So you can't find one. I can't expect you to find a second and a third. If you can't find a QB coach, then I can't expect you to find a second and a third.
Yeah.
So once I knew he couldn't build a staff into year 3, I had no use for him anymore at this point. And when I saw this 3-headed monster wasn't going to work and all this kind of stuff, and then I found out about what was going on behind the scenes, that, and that's why in the middle of a winning streak, I'm saying he's going to get fired and are losing their minds, because I know now what's going on behind the scenes, and that he was kind of against everything from drafting Tua to cock blocking all kinds of moves. The GM brings you Eric Flowers and then you force him to get rid of him the following year. Well, wait a minute, you need him on your line. Why would you get rid of him? Why would you start 4 young guys and a journeyman? Right? Does that make any sense? Are you trying to sabotage your QB? Well, why would you start him against the Rams? Trying to sabotage your QB? Well, why would you tell him you're not going to start and then you're staying with Jabroni Brisket in the middle of that game? And if he can go play 18 holes of golf, but he can't play golf for you, idiot. You know what I mean? So what was going on? And that's my problem with Brian Flores. So there was too much agenda going on with Brian Flores, and it kept building and building and building. You know what the problem is with some of your listeners that are asking that? And I'm going to assume this because I was a Brian Flores supporter.
Yeah.
And this is what I always explain, because I always get the people call, they chime into my show and they say, well, you were such a Brian Flores supporter, and now you're not. Well, that's phony. And I said, well, wait a minute. So if you marry her and she starts cheating on you, do you still love her? So if you get into a business deal with your best friend and he's siphoning money off the company, are you still partners? Whatever happened to gathering and assessing information and then adjusting what you're thinking about? The ignorance and insanity is to continue doing the same thing you're doing when it's not working. So the intelligence is to continue to reassess any situation in life that you're in. If your job that you go to every day all of a sudden gets a new boss, and that boss is abusive and disruptive and maybe counterproductive to what you're doing, so how's that working out? You still going to stay at that job, or are you going to get another job? So for those people that think, well, he's such a phony because he loved Brian Flores at the beginning. Well, guess what? I love Bill Parcells when they hired him, and I love Jimmy Johnson when they hired him, and I love Nick Saban when they hired him, and I was the first one to say, fire them. Okay? So I love Dale Talon for the Panthers. He came from Chicago, built those Stanley Cup teams. He drafted a couple really good players. And I was the first guy in town that had the gumption to say, hey, Dale Talon needs to be fired. Oh, how are you going to say that? He built Stanley Cup teams in Chicago and this and that. It's been 10 years with the Panthers, and he hasn't won anything. And started to look around and all that. And then eventually they ended up firing him. Why? Because I took the time to actually reassess the situation and say, I don't care if you're a Hall of Famer. I don't care what you did in Chicago, just like I did with Jimmy Johnson. When he came here, he took away Marino's Irving Fryer. He took away his Buyer. He took away his Kirby. He took away his Audibles. And then he tried to run the Dallas offense without the Dallas line and without Emmitt Smith. Kind of hard to do, right? Meanwhile, Irving Fryer's having 2 Pro Bowl seasons with the Eagles. The offense is pathetic. And guess what? I wanted Jimmy Johnson's ass out of here. Okay? And so the idea is, sure, you may like the hiring, you may like your wife at the beginning, but if you divorce her, it's because you don't like her or love her anymore. That's because you reassess the situation and you said, Amber Heard, I'm out of here.
She's crazy. That's all I'm going to say about that. Amber Heard is crazy.
Yeah. But you know what? She must be amazing in bed, because that's probably why Depp was with her.
Right.
And he found out, oh my God, I forgot. Yeah, she's good in bed, but boy, she
leaves something else in that bed too, though.
Crazy is fun in one room, but disruptive in the rest of your life. Okay, so the great poet Ludacris once said, "We need a lady in the street, but a freak in the bed." I leave you with that.
I find it so funny you can't change your opinion anymore in this world. You have to die on the sword.
Yeah, no. Let's just stay the course. Yes, but it's a waterfall. No, let's just stay the course. We'll be fine. Yeah, but 80-foot drop. No, let's just stay the course. No, yeah, right. I mean, that's.
Yeah. They go, what do you see? You're heading home.
Gentlemen, it helps in life to reassess. Okay,
Exactly.
You may vote for a president. 4 years later, you might regret it, right?
Yep.
You know?
You're heading home,
Yeah.
Bob. What do you got going on this upcoming week on the channel?
I'm getting on a plane, getting back to Miami. We'll be rocking and rolling. We actually got the fights at Hialeah Park. Friday we'll be at the weigh-ins, so we'll be there in the afternoon. We'll have 2 shows on Friday, and then next week we'll get things going again, covering everything going on with the Heat and the Panthers in the playoffs, and we'll continue covering the Dolphin offseason. We got 5 Dolphin insiders that are exclusive to us on our channel, and Ian Rappaport, also from the NFL Network, every week on Wednesdays at 10:10 Eastern. We are loaded, we are growing, and we appreciate your support at Big O Radio Show. Please subscribe.
Yep. Go hit that subscribe button, Big O. Always a blast hanging out with you. I will see you real soon.
Thank you, my brother. And ladies and gentlemen, always reassess.